This is Lost in Electronics. Today we're actually going to go through continuation of our last video about after installing Arch Linux. One of the things you may want to be doing is something called installing what they call Black Arch. Today we're going to go through how to install Black Arch and some basics of Black Arch here. So what you want to do is you want to go over to https:// blackarch.org /downloads.html. Since you could download it as a separate ISO image, and you could just have it just run just Black Arch. Or what I'm doing here is I'm installing Black Arch over top of Arch Linux, since we went into an install last time on a virtual machine on how to install Arch Linux. I used to run Arch Linux natively, but there was some driver issues at one point for my video card, so I decided just to go to Fedora. Fedora works really well, and we just get to use multiple different distributions of Linux. It's never a bad idea. Just like the Raspberry Pi, I always use a Debian base. I use Fedora on my is my main operating system on this machine. I don't have Windows or anything as an alternative, and then I also have it where I currently am right now running a virtual machine on how to run Arch Linux, and then we're going to today work with on how to install a version of basically Black Arch. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and we have a great article that we're actually going to go to on this page here. Normally, if you can remember the commands, you can just type them in, and if you can't, then there's a great article. It's installing basically Black Arch on top of Arch. So here's how we're going to do it. So I've already copied the first command we got, which you can see in the line here, which is this curl command. So what we're going to do here on the command window here is we're going to head and hit enter. Then the next thing we actually need to do here is we're going to go ahead and grab the next line here. So you're going to highlight it, copy it, and if you want to paste in the command windows, if you're not familiar with it, it's Control-Shift-V. And then we're going to go ahead and hit enter. And then the next thing we're going to do is grab the next command here, which is the chmod. Control-Shift-V again. And then the last thing we want to do here is we want to run this as sudo. So it's sudo user do. Super user do, I'm sorry. Then you have to type in your root password. Now it's trying to make sure it has the keys and verify everything here. So it's going to take a few moments for this to install, because this is the first time I'm installing, because I like showing everybody real-time information. I like just speeding up the video in the middle of the installation here. So it's going to take a few moments in the background to get everything installed. It's going to take a few, moment, depending on what the processing power. Right now, I only dedicated about 6 cores to this, so it's going to be run extremely quick. And that way, dedicated 2 gigs of RAM. I should have put a little bit more there, and it would have sped up the process here. There's our mirrored list. There is where you're basically where all, for example, all the files where it's getting downloaded and what website it pulls from. So it has its archives of what updates it's going to have from it. And then we're going to go ahead and run this command here, which is we're going to make sure the versions are up to date here. So Control Shift V again. And then what we're going to do here, this command here shows you a list of all the package. So you want to see, hey, what do I actually want to install here? You don't have to install the whole package here. So if you just want to go in here, and we can Control Shift V again and paste that in. And this tells us here a list of every type of tool you have. So you could just, if for example, if you just want to install one single tool, you could be able to do that. If you just want to install just the Wi-Fi tools, or if you just want to install certain different, if you wanted to install certain different packages, it does break down every single package it can be able to go through here. So it depends on what you're trying, what you want to be able to do. And it's listing. Here's all the list of the tools it's going through here. And there's quite a few of them. So it depends on what you're trying to, basically what kind of, what you're trying to exploit. So the first thing you need to do is make sure that you know what what you want to do is if you want to test it. There's Hackabox is a good website to be able to use to be able to test with some of the be able to utilize some of your tools there. Downloaded what they call darn vulnerable image, and you can be able to that one or Hackabox. There's a lot of them out there you can actually use to be able to there. Just make sure you everything we're doing is make sure it's doing legally or get permission for whatever we're doing. This is just to be so we can be able to. This is just for educational purposes only. This is not to be able to do this. This is so we can be able to learn and as a community be able to work with each other on keep on not only from the development side of everything, but how to be able to work with trying to work together as a team to kind of to try to keep on make sure that everything's secure and also be able to learn so that if we want to work with maybe getting looking at maybe in the future getting either like an information technology degree or if you have one to improve your skills on trying to happen or any kind of job field that you want to get into, but it does never hurt to be able to learn more education of basically how these tools work and the functionality of them. Um, just from the standpoint just for the basics of even security, because if you know what kind of basically if you know what potentially can be used, you know how to try to secure against or at least what to look for. So this is really meant for to try to use for purposes and not to be able to use any for anything malicious. This is meant so that we can be able to test the tools, make sure that we know what they're doing, to kind of have the educational of how these function and know how from the standpoint of if you know how the tools work and how to be able to secure your network or even test the network. So if you have an IDS system, you can is an easy way to be able to test your IDS system to make sure what it can catch. Also, if you're having it where to use the capability of again use like something like Hack the Box where you can actually test some of these tools and actually on the virtual machine and the permission to be able to use that basically that way you can make sure everything is in a legal standpoint, because this is not designed so that we can do anything illegal. This is just to make sure that we can actually utilize the capabilities of the tools. If you just want to go and if you just want to have it, we want to have all the tools, you would just run this command here and install it. But this is show you an example of what it would look like if you decide that you want to say, hey, I want to pull all the tools at the same time. So we'll say Control Shift V, and then you would just click on that one. It's going to prop up here in a few seconds. It's going to say, are you sure you want to install all these tools? And in case I don't right now, I don't need them all, so I'm going to go and just hit. We're going to just hit we're going to hit Control C, so I don't have to get into it. So I don't have to there. But again, if you want to hit default all, or if you want to have like maybe example, you just want one package, or you know what tool you're looking for, you can look these correspond to every number here when you install. So that way, hey, I just want maybe let me go ahead and grab an example of one of these tools here. Maybe I just have a file maybe I don't remember the password into, so I may want to do basically the Aurora cracking, so I can get into it, so that maybe I can get into my file. So I would type in 780 if I wanted to do that, or if I maybe I have there's a whole bunch of tools in here, half the stuff you may not even need. But again, this is just kind of gives you generic of what you can be able to do. So it depends on what you're trying to audit or what you're trying to learn. You can depends on what kind of tools that you want to be able to use. Remember, every tool you install, these potentially also can leave vulnerabilities to your system because the same way that they work. So again, it's again depends on what you're trying to get there. So there's quite a few different things. I would normally what I'd run is either use the again Hackabox is a good one to be able to use. The other one's a great one to site to be able to use here. That I would actually go to here. Besides that one, you would want to go and maybe have it like if you have an IDS system, you may want to test out that it's right there, like something like Suricata to make sure it's functioning. These are great tools to be able to make sure that you can see what would happen if you want to look at the logs. So if you want to see what an attack looks like, the other thing is you can actually want to do the good thing is if you want to try to create attack or create like a reverse shell, see if you can go and pull up Wireshark and see if you can see that the logs in there. So that way, if somebody is attacking your network, you can actually look at what the logs look like and look what the header and the information looks like. So there is a vast amount of opportunities to be able to make sure that you can utilize the tools in the proper manner.